An 8-member delegation of European lawmakers has arrived in Taiwan for talks amid heightened tensions over the self-ruled island following the Chinese ruling party's top Congress meeting recently. Now, the delegation is set to meet with high-ranking Taiwanese officials, including President Tsai Ing-wen. 2 members of the group are believed to have been blacklisted by Beijing last year for inflammatory comments made on China's human rights record. The upcoming talks are, however, expected to centre around trade, investment and technology. Taiwan accounts for nearly 90% of microchips supplied to European companies and manufacturers. And concerns over the island have grown in recent months following US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit back in August, which triggered a string of military drills from Beijing. Now, for more, Rosie Burchard joins us live from Brussels. Rosie, what does the European delegation hope to achieve from this meeting, especially as tensions over the island remain relatively high at this point?
Well, the plan for these European lawmakers is to focus on trade, on investment and on technology. And of course, the European Union, that 27-member bloc headquartered here in Brussels, is involved in a bid to try and ramp up its production of semiconductors on its own territory. And as you rightly mentioned, Taiwan is really a chip manufacturing giant, so likely some focus there. And we do know that this 8-member delegation is expected to meet with business associations to talk about supply chains and also about deepening relations when it comes to trade. But of course, Dawn, the geopolitics here are really omnipresent. And I want to draw your attention to a couple of things. Among this 8-member delegation, which is sent by the Interparliamentary Alliance on China, that is a group of more than 20 countries trying to, they say, parliamentarians change the way democracies interact with China. Well, among those lawmakers are one Ukrainian lawmaker who has been tweeting pictures of Ukrainian flags in Taipei. He has drawn parallels between Taiwan and Ukraine. Among the delegation also is a parliamentarian from Kosovo. Kosovo's independence is not recognized by Beijing. Beijing has no official relations with Kosovo, which declared itself independent from Serbia. Now, that, I suppose, just suggests a level of the geopolitical tensions and the backdrop against which these lawmakers make this visit. And the head of the delegation, Reinhard Bütikofer, he is a parliamentarian based here in Brussels. Well, he indeed has been sanctioned by China last year. That was part of these tit-for-tat sanctions we saw exchanged between Beijing and Brussels. Brussels initially sanctioning several Chinese officials over allegations of human rights abuses in Xinjiang. And then we saw several parliamentarians here in Brussels sanctioned, and Reinhard Bütikofer, now leading up this delegation in Taiwan, was one of them. So the geopolitics very much present, despite the fact that this delegation is officially and supposed to be focusing on the more concrete issues of trade, of technology, of investment. That's what the lawmakers say they are there to do. However, a statement that was sent to me by Taipei's representative office here in Brussels says that the authorities on the island sincerely and warmly welcome this visit, and they say that this is another sign of firm support for the island.
Rosie, the arrival of this delegation, the timing of it, it comes on the back of the recent Chinese ruling party Congress, where Beijing underscored its commitment to reunify Taiwan. What does this visit tell us about where European relations with China currently stand?
Well, I think what's important to highlight, first of all, is that these are European lawmakers. They are elected parliamentarians. They are not government officials, and that might be something which would draw a different response from Beijing if we were to see, for example, officials from the European Commission headquartered in this building behind me visiting Taiwan. The EU officially has a one China policy under which it recognises the government of the PRC as the sole government of China, but the EU says it also wants to pursue friendly ties with Taiwan. And over the last few months, we've seen the EU and Taiwan hold an upgraded trade dialogue, for example. That was something which was not welcomed by Beijing. Beijing. Now, the IPAC, this is the group which has organised this particular delegation, has called for a deepening still of European Union trade ties with Taiwan. They would like to see a bilateral trade and investment dialogue kicking off, something which would deepen these ties further still. That's something which would likely be rejected by Beijing as well. What we can see, certainly from where I'm standing here in Brussels, is that the relations between China and the European Union seem to be getting frosty. But on the Chinese side, for example, the Director General for Europe at the Chinese Foreign Ministry says that Europe and China, the EU and China, are friends and not rivals. So a slightly different take there from Beijing.
Rosie, thank you for that. Rosie Bircher there in Brussels.